there are different wheeling scenarios, right? And then maybe for the benefit of this interview, I'm only going to concentrate on two wheeling scenarios, right? As you know that now most municipalities, let me just say, yeah, most municipalities, we get electricity from Eskom in bulk, right? Then we distribute, and that's how we get our markup. So now you might find that there's a wheeling scenario where there is a customer here in Ekurhuleni, all right? And then that customer requests to actually receive wheeled power from a generator which is somewhere in the Northern Cape, right? Because that's where most of the PV generators are. Find that now the generator is in the Northern Cape and the customer is here in Ekurhuleni. Obviously, technically and physically, there's no any connection between the two, generator and the customer. So in that case, it will mean that now the generator will connect onto the Eskom grid, where that generator is developed, and then it would then mean that now Eskom will then need to transfer or credit those units, whatever the power that is generated on the other side, over to Ekurhuleni, and Ekurhuleni will then have to pass it down to the customer. So now that is one wheeling scenario. And then the second one is when the generator is within Ekurhuleni and the customer is in Ekurhuleni, but probably not in the same area. Maybe one is in, the generator is in Binoni and the customer is in Sando, in Kempton Park. So that's more, we call it more of an internal wheeling. So now the challenges on both, maybe the first one, there was an issue of the security deposits. Maybe before I speak of the security deposit, there isn't a national wheeling framework. Also, I think that's a good starting point. There isn't a national wheeling framework, meaning that now each municipality or any utilities, we are kind of like basically developing your own strategies, your own framework, without necessarily having some form of guidelines, maybe from NERSA, from DMRE. So basically creating your own framework without that guidance. So I think in that case, so there are a lot of uncertainties, a lot of questions. So that each and every utility, you end up doing your own wheeling based on how you understand the concept. So I think that is the first, bit of a challenge that there is in the national wheeling framework. And then again, on that first wheeling scenario where the generator is outside of Ekurhuleni connected to the Eskom grid, there was a point where Eskom was actually requesting security deposits because, as I've indicated, Eskom and Ekurhuleni would then have to change their existing supply agreement. And for that, Eskom was requesting security deposits. So look, if we are going to do this transaction, the municipality, we need to basically update or pay a security deposit because now we are changing the supply agreement. And any change to the supply agreement, Eskom and Ekurhuleni, it triggers a security deposit. And then we are talking billions. For Ekurhuleni, we did our estimations. If we were to receive wind power across all our 56 Eskom intake points, we are looking at around 6 billion, which is something that it's a no-brainer. It's not something that we can even do. I mean, we don't even have that kind of cash lying around that we can even do that. So I think that was one of the hurdles when it comes to external wheeling. But on that one, at least what is good is that now Eskom was also open for engagement. We sat down with Eskom, we engaged with Eskom, and then to a point where it was agreed that only for wheeling, Eskom will not require any municipality. Basically, it was Ekurhuleni, but they will not require Ekurhuleni to pay the security deposit. And then, however, they will also try to use that very same resolution across the country, meaning that now all municipalities, because these are the same across the country. So, but based on the resolution that we took during the meeting, that was also going to be extended across the country, meaning that now companies can now, or IPPs can now wheel across Eskom to municipalities without any security deposit being requested by Eskom, provided that now that municipality is in good financial standing with Eskom, meaning that they're paying their account monthly, and then there are no issues there. So that is a positive. So it's no longer a stumbling block, but it was a stumbling block for the longest time. But at least it's good to report that now that is no longer the issue. Now, coming to the internal wheeling, as I've indicated that as the city, we've got our own plans, to purchase power from independent power producers. And then our drive is to actually have these IPPs building their plants in Ekurhuleni and connecting Ekurhuleni. so that at least jobs are created here locally, because that's one of our socioeconomic, responsibilities that we also need to look at. So now the problem that we are picking up is that now you find that now we've got our own program where our own appointed independent power producers and the private power producers who wants to win using our grid, they're all competing for the same connection points. And now that becomes a problem. And with us, obviously, we'll always choose, the IPPs that we appointed, that we are legally, we have signed, the contract. And it is something that we have planned from 2016. Definitely, we cannot now prioritize this new private wheeling. So I think the internal program, that is the only challenge. But where we said maybe for now, we're just simply going to temporarily, not necessarily close it. Yeah, let me use that word close it, temporarily suspend, private wheeling within Ekurhuleni up until all our independent power producers connects. Then, if there is then spare capacity, loading and all that, then we can then open our grid for private wheeling. So I think that is a bit of a challenge, for somebody who really wants to wheel, within the city of Ekurhuleni grid.